Hi guys, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 10 ways to stimulate your vagus nerve. Now you might be asking, why would I want to do that, lady? Well, you need to tune into my other videos on the gut-brain axis and the vagus nerve. But the executive summary for those who don't want to do that is that the vagus nerve is critically, ultra, super, mega important for things like producing digestive enzymes, dampening or decreasing inflammation in the gut, keeping your gut moving to prevent things like bloating and bacterial overgrowth, interacting with your microbiome. This is a foundationally, critically important thing for people who have IBS, SIBO, Crohn's, colitis, GERD, and probably every other condition from here to here. So without further ado, let's get into my personal top 10 favorite ways to stimulate your vagus nerve. Okay, so first off, I want to start this video with a couple of things not to do, in my opinion at least. I think that these are going to result in limited usefulness, limited clinical outcomes, and maybe even make your nervous system a little bit more dysfunctional in the long run, in my opinion. So if you think about the neurology from like a left-brained, smarty pants cortex point of view, remember the cortex is the part of your brain that is listening to me right now, thinking about the information, storing it away in memories. Like that is your conscious smarty pants brain that we're talking about when we talk about the cortex. So if we really engage with that part of our nervous system, which a lot of us do every day, if we engage with that cortex and the frontal lobe and the thinking brain, the temptation I find in a lot of conversations, especially in functional medicine and functional neurology and the wisdom of the internet, is to look at this from a purely anatomical, neurological standpoint and say, okay, we know that the nuclei are here, and we know that they go out in these directions to these organs and these locations. Is there a way that we can hijack this or tap into this somehow? So for example, one of the common things that will be discussed is gargling, right? Just gargle 10 minutes a day until you cry. Your eyes should be watering. If you're not watering your eyes, you're not doing it hard enough, and you just need to gargle every day for the rest of your life. But first of all, who wants to do that? I don't. That does not sound appealing in the slightest bit to me. So that automatically makes me think maybe this isn't going to be super therapeutic, just on some sort of level. But also, like, yes, technically, the vagus nerve innervates the back of the throat, and you are using some of the vagal nerve fibers to do that, to do the gargling. And that information is going to come back and induce some plasticity or some function in the nuclei, and then you could get a downstream effect. But is that something that you want to do or is practical to do for the rest of your life? Or are you going to be stuck being like the weird person who gargles whenever you go on a road trip with friends? I think it's limitedly useful, and it's kind of missing the whole point of the vagus nerve. Now, the other one that I do use in my clinical practice, but I don't think it's something to approach from a willy-nilly perspective, which is why I've never done a video about it on YouTube, and I honestly never will, is there is a branch of the vagus nerve that goes to the ear, and you can tap into that with some TENS unit devices and ear clips. I think that that is something that needs to be done under the supervision of a healthcare professional with very distinct instructions and follow through. I have had people feel worse doing that if they go too aggressively or do it improperly. But I think that also to some degree, that is a Band-Aid. It's just missing the boat just a teeny bit in the ultimate conversation of the vagus nerve. So I wanted to put those out there. Yes, they do technically stimulate or use the vagus nerve, but I think that you're going to be missing the boat quite a bit if you try to just focus on those rather than these 10 things I'm going to tell you today. Because remember, the vagus nerve is not under our conscious control. It's humming along in the background, doing its thing, providing you with all of these cool benefits, all of these cool functions. It's doing so thanklessly and seamlessly behind the scenes, but sometimes it needs a little bit of help. So remember, you cannot use your smarty pants frontal lobe to outthink or outfox the vagus nerve, and you cannot force it to do your bidding. That's not how it works. That's never how it is going to work. So forcing yourself to do things like gargling or some of these therapies that are unpleasant, I think, in my opinion, are missing the boat. But if you think about the vagus nerve from the perspective of what is it trying to do for you? It's getting you into rest and digest. And if you think about the mental space and the physical space that you need to be in to digest your food adequately, we can start gathering some information and some tips for how to stimulate it or how to get it to work better. So if you think, if you right now just like tensed every muscle in your body, if you did, like you're getting ready to do the biggest poop of your life, or you're bearing down like you're weightlifting or something, or you're really tense because somebody has freaked you out or there's been trauma. If you're that tense, can you imagine eating your food? No. Imagine a scenario where you're really relaxed and you're happy, and like, have you ever been to a restaurant or a party and you kind of don't even pay attention to eating because you're having so much fun chatting with your friends or family and just like laughing at the jokes, enjoying the ambiance, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the trip that you're on? You need to tap into that. So my ultimate favorite ways to tap into the vagus nerve, which take a little bit more time, but they are so effective, are things like gratitude, empathy, and helping others. These are 3 big major tickets to get your vagus nerve to work better. Because ultimately, we need to tell the vagus nerve, you are safe. There's this really great environment where we are prepared for rest and digest. We're ready for it. We are in a happy, healthy, loving environment, and we're ready for you to do your thing. And you can't fake that. So for example, if you want to tap into the gratitude side of it, gratitude journaling is a really wonderful thing. I actually have an app on my phone that sends me a nightly reminder, and it's just a little pop-up notification, and it says, what are you grateful for today? And it prompts me to think about what I'm grateful for. There's a lot of great gratitude journals on Amazon, or you could just write in a plain old notebook and write down what you're grateful for every day. I've had some people who do this with a list, like they'll just keep a mile-long list and they'll add new things to it every day. I've had other people where they do like a journal and it's a fresh list every day. And getting your nervous system to focus on what went well, what you're grateful for, what is good in your life. Even if you are completely debilitated by IBS or SIBO and you're bloated, like 9 months pregnant bloat, and you can't poop, and you're frustrated and broke from going to see all these doctors, and you're just searching for answers, there's got to be something you're grateful for. Maybe you have great hair. Maybe you have beautiful feet. I don't know, but think about something that you're grateful for in your body, and think about something that you're grateful for in your environment, your best friend, your coworkers, your boss is great, your spouse is wonderful, your kids are great, whatever it might be. You have a roof over your head, you have enough money to put food on the table. Whatever it is that you can be thankful for or grateful for or appreciative of, gratitude is by far your number 1 ticket into vagal nerve tone. The close runner up is empathy, and trying to see other people's perspectives and empathizing with them and empathizing in their journey. And this is one of my favorite hacks. You could just go on YouTube or Instagram and you could watch happy, fun videos. That's it. Just find videos of people dancing, wedding videos, videos of soldiers coming home to their dogs or their kids, anything that brings you joy and makes you smile and is heartwarming. You're empathizing with that other person. Now, interestingly enough, I'll try to remember to link the study, but I found a study where they looked at vagal tone as it relates to empathy, and they were trying to assess if you had to empathize with good situations or good emotions, or if negative empathizing worked too. So like if somebody is very sick or injured or very upset, you can empathize with them on that level as well. And it seemed to be that it didn't particularly matter as far as activating the vagus nerve. If you just empathized with somebody and saw their point of view and saw their struggles or saw their achievements and their joy, either way, you're tapping into this very emotional, very wanting to be centered side of your nervous system. So if you can show it other people and their experiences and really think about being in their shoes, empathy is a wonderful, wonderful way to tap into this too. I think it would be more fun and more therapeutic if you tapped into the positive empathy stuff. So rather than watching a really sad or depressing movie or depressing news, maybe focus on happier stuff and look at pictures and videos of something that would bring you joy. So like for me, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube about Japan because I really want to go to Japan someday when the world goes back to normal. And it brings me so much joy to like watch these YouTubers traveling around Japan and seeing these videos. So that's something that I do. Or all of my Instagram reels, when I scroll through that, 99% of them are funny, adorable cat videos. So watch something that brings you joy, or go out to like a children's birthday party or the beach, or go somewhere where you can see happy people and just try to tap into that, try to feel that happiness with them on whatever level that you can. And that taps into the next one, which is helping people. So again, if you empathize with people in their struggles, one of the reactions that you could have, one of the ways that you can tap into that is by trying to help them, right? So if you see somebody broken down on the side of the road and you see that it's like a mother with a young child and they need help, you could go help that person and get the warm fuzzies inside, and you're helping them and you're helping yourself. Now, I don't know the practicality or the safety of doing that on a regular basis, but one of the ways that you can tap into this is volunteering. So, for example, you could volunteer at an animal shelter or a nursing home or a hospital or a nonprofit. There are, 5Ks and runs that are for fundraiser's sake. Your kids' school bake sale, if they're trying to build a new library or buy new books for the library. Volunteering for things like the PTA could be useful. If there's any sort of committee, at your school or at your work trying to build something or improve something, you could volunteer for that committee. Or you could volunteer for something like a soup kitchen, or there's a lot of phone volunteer opportunities. I know two of my patients I know volunteer for like a Christian helpline, prayer line kind of a thing. So they could do it from the comfort of their own home. And they answer the phones, and somebody will call in need. Maybe their parent or their spouse has received a bad diagnosis, or they're struggling, or they're really depressed, and these people on the phone will talk to them and pray with them and offer that comfort. And you can do that from your home, to the best of my knowledge. So there's a lot of different opportunities to volunteer, but volunteering is like the ultimate act of empathy, because you're empathizing with somebody and seeing, oh, that person needs help. I feel bad for them. I want to help them. And then you're actually following through and you're helping that person or that animal or that organization. So gratitude, empathy, and volunteering or helping people in whatever way you can. Heck, even just helping your mom, like help your mom weed the garden, or help your dad, drive your dad to his colonoscopy appointment, whatever it might be, but just offer a helping hand and try to be of service and help people as much as you can. And you're going to be tapping into this vagus nerve before you know it. Now for a couple of my personal favorites, connecting with nature or connecting with living things. Those are two wonderful, wonderful ways to promote vagal nerve tone. So nature, we can think of vitamin D, forest bathing. If you get a chance to Google forest bathing, it is wild and so cool. You boost up good sides of your immune system, like natural killer cells. You have better immunity and less inflammation by just taking a stroll through the woods or at a lake or a river, or heck, maybe even your backyard. But trying to get outdoors and enjoy nature, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy sunshine. And if you could also move your body in the process, that's a double whammy. But whatever you could do to get outside in nature and connect with nature and the earth and the world around you, I think is wonderful. Bonus points if you want to do some grounding and take off your shoes and your socks and walk barefoot on the grass or barefoot on the sand or the dirt. And bonus points if you go about this without your phones. And I say that as a fellow phone addict, we all are, who are we kidding? But it doesn't count as much, in my opinion, if you go for a walk in the woods and you're listening to a podcast or a YouTube video or music. And I know we're all still obsessed with BTS Butter, and I know we're all listening to the IBS Freedom Podcast, total plug for that, but take a break from the technology and the bombardment of your eardrums and just be with nature. Just observe it. walk around and see if you can see a cool bug or a butterfly or heaven forbid a snake or something creepy, but walk around and just see what you observe. Maybe a cool looking plant or a weird looking mushroom. See what you can observe and see what you can hear. And you might be pleasantly surprised to see what you had been missing if you were walking around with headphones on this whole time. Now, similarly, I think that these fall under they fall under the same umbrella, although they're two different distinct items on the list. Connecting with nature is one. The other thing is just connecting with living things. And that could mean humans or animals, or maybe plants as well. But if you think dogs or cats or a goldfish or a rabbit, whatever you want to have, but having a pet or enjoying somebody else's pet can be incredibly therapeutic for your vagus nerve. Now, obviously, if you are horrendously allergic to cats, please don't get a cat. If you are allergic to dogs, please don't get a dog, or please get one that's hypoallergenic. But being around another living creature, I think especially one that you cannot communicate with thoroughly, can be wonderfully therapeutic, and they will give you some additional microbes and keep your microbiome healthier too. So getting a pet or enjoying somebody else's pet, if you don't have a pet, but your friend or your neighbor or your mom does, maybe go over and offer to walk their dog, or just ask if you can hang out and pet their cat. Or, double whammy, if you want to volunteer at a no-kill shelter, then you would be tapping into the empathy thing and the volunteering and the dogs or cats or whatever shelter you choose to work at. So there's a lot of different options where you can blend these together. But animals are incredibly therapeutic, and people, just connecting with people, being around people. Like I said, remember that scenario I painted where I said, hey, have you ever been to, a restaurant or a wedding or a gathering and you're having so much fun and you're talking and laughing and telling stories and listening to stories, and you kind of forget that you're eating even, like you're in such a good mood and you're just so connected with the humans around you that you just enjoy the food and you don't really think about it that much. You can tap into that on a day-to-day. Now, obviously it's harder if you live alone, but this is where things like meetup groups can be great, or just going out to the park. Like I said, not to be a creepy creeper, but go outside and maybe eat your lunch on a park bench and observe the people in the park. Maybe there's kids playing on the playground, or some adults walking and they look like they're telling a funny story or a fun story. Try to observe those people and just connect with them on whatever level you can. Obviously, I think it's best if you are, with somebody that you care about or you love, and you're really connected with them and having a good engaged conversation with them, or you're having fun with them. But even if you live alone, or even if you don't have that ability right now, just try to observe other humans and their connectedness and their body language and their vocalizations, and see if you can tap into that a little bit yourself, or, like I said, get a pet. But connecting with things that are living, particularly animals and humans, and connecting with nature are two of my absolute favorites on this entire list, and I really think you cannot go wrong with either of these things. And finally, last but not least, but some of my other favorites include things like yoga, meditation, acupuncture, deep breathing, or singing and chanting. Any of those are going to facilitate vagal tone and bring you joy and get you into that nice rest and digest state. And, some people love yoga, some people it's not your cup of tea. Some people are terrified to get acupuncture, other people love it. So you can pick and choose from this list and decide what really resonates with you or what is financially doable for you. But all of these things have been shown to get you in that rest and digest state. I know for me, the last time I got acupuncture, which admittedly was too long ago, but I remember telling the acupuncturist that I was a bit constipated, and she put in all the needles and did her thing. And then they leave you on the table to kind of marinate with the needles for a little while. And I remember feeling peristalsis. Like I could feel my gut being like, and it started moving stuff through. And I kid you not, my acupuncturist is maybe a mile down the road. By the time I left her office, drove here to my office, and arrived, I had to poop. And I think I texted her afterwards. I was like, Colleen, I just had the best poop ever. Thank you. So acupuncture can definitely help you get settled in that rest and digest state. And a bonus of acupuncture, is that because they leave you on the table to marinate with those needles for 15 or 20 minutes, you have that quiet time. You have a little mini meditative moment where you're just focusing on your body, your breath. Maybe they have nice music on, maybe there's a nice essential oil diffusing, whatever it might be, but it's a nice way to take a pause and take a break, and then you get the extra added juice of the needles and what they're doing. I could probably talk about acupuncture quite a lot. I'm not trained in it, so I'm not an expert, but I have some pretty cool stories from my personal experience, and I swear it works. Whatever they say it's doing it. Just believe them. Acupuncture is really profound and really helpful for a lot of people. But again, all of these things, you can kind of imagine, if there was a list of things for stress reduction, right? What always comes up in those lists for stress reduction? Meditation, yoga, breathing, maybe acupuncture, maybe chanting or singing. So, and like connecting with nature, like a lot of these things, not coincidentally, are on the list of things that reduce stress. But that's exactly the point. Again, we can't be under a stressed life or a stressed environment. In my opinion, you cannot be in an environment where you hate your job, you hate your spouse, you hate everything, you're miserable every day and like totally depressed, and also you're trying to promote vagal tone. Like if you're in that kind of a situation and you try to promote vagal tone by gargling, your vagus nerve is going to laugh at you. It's going to be like, bro, what are you doing? No. And it's not to say that you're hosed if you hate your job or if you're unhappy with your spouse, but you need to take action steps to get out of that crappy situation. Maybe it's marriage counseling. Maybe it's applying for new jobs and looking for a new job, or starting your own career and opening a business. Maybe it's moving out of a crappy situation or a city that you hate. I remember I had one patient, she, for whatever reason, hated North Carolina. And her parents had convinced her to go to NC State for school. And you could just tell she wasn't happy about it. She wanted to move to California. That was all there was to it. And I remember telling her at an appointment, this was a few years ago, I remember telling her, maybe something therapeutic that you need to do is get out of North Carolina. Like if you really hate it, if you don't want to be here anymore, maybe the best therapy would be for you to leave. And then you're not fighting this uphill battle with your nervous system that is smarter than you and knows damn well when you're stressed. Like, don't try to outfox the vagus nerve and think that you're going to succeed. You need to create an environment and create a life that can allow that nerve to function better. And this is still a work in progress for me. Like, I'm not going to stand here and lie to you and say, I've got it all together and my vagal tone is perfect. That's not the case. To this day, if I get stressed, I do not poop. And I have had to take aloe or other natural laxatives, and this continues to this day. This is still something that I'm working on to this day. It's not nearly as bad as my IBS was. I would say the IBS I had years ago was night and day different. I could deal with a little bit of occasional constipation, but I always know why it's happening. At least now I do, in part because I've tested myself for everything under the sun. But I know darn well, like recently when I was opening up FODMAP Freedom for enrollment again in August, I was getting ready. I was preparing the webinar for it. I was getting everything spruced up inside of FODMAP Freedom. I was gearing up and training my nutrition assistant. I was creating my new GERD and gastritis course, which I was giving as a gift for everybody who enrolled in FODMAP Freedom. And I was burning myself out. And there was about a month leading up to that open enrollment period where I was just really burning myself out, frying my vagus nerve, and I was getting quite constipated again. And now that I'm on the other side of that, it's gotten better. And I vowed that every time I open up FODMAP Freedom, it's going to be less of that. Like, I think I'm going to have less on my plate each time I do that. And now I think it'll be a more joyous occasion every time. But the last two times I've opened that, the last three times that I've opened up FODMAP Freedom, I've been pretty freaking stressed and I have not pooped. And that's just my nervous system saying, no amount of CBD oil or lavender or whatever it might be is going to outsmart us. We know you're stressed and you're overworking yourself. And you need to stop working on weekends and actually take a chill pill and go watch some Netflix. So For what it's worth, as one human being who is working on this to another human being who is working on this is a lifelong journey. It's not a simple task. But if you could try to incorporate as many of these things into your life as humanly possible, while also working on your gut and whatever local dysfunction you have, dysbiosis, SIBO, candida, whatever it might be, I think that you're going to reap the benefits and you're going to be so glad that you did this. The vagus nerve is so much more beautiful and complex than any amount of gargling would ever show you. And I hope that you take these 10 things and try to implement them in your life. And I would love to hear your feedback. Comment down below. Have you tried any of these things? Have you noticed that they are consistently helpful for you? Have you gone to acupuncture? Do you practice yoga? Do you practice meditation? What have you observed in your own healing journey, either in your gut or otherwise? I would love to hear your experiences and hear how that has affected you. And let me know, there is one additional layer of the vagus nerve that I haven't covered yet, but I would be willing to do so. I'm tempted to do an entire video on vagal nerve tone and heart rate variability. So I have this ring that tracks heart rate variability, and there's a lot of wicked cool research on this. I would love to share this, but let me know, is that something that you guys would actually be interested in? Do you want me to do a video about vagal nerve tone monitoring via heart rate variability and the products that are out there for heart rate variability? Let me know in the comments down below, and if so, I will consider adding that to my fall or winter recording schedule. And in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every one of you, and go forth and take care of your vagus nerve. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.